For generations, the world's most powerful dynasties have paraded themselves as pillars of civilization, guardians of legacy, culture, and divine right. But what if their bloodlines were never blessed, but cursed? Beneath the royal regalia lies a chilling secret whispered only in the most forbidden circles of occult study, that these families aren't just elite, they are the descendants of ancient demonic pacts, sealed in blood. Today we uncover the hidden truth behind the 13 bloodlines, said to be bound not by faith, but by infernal ancestry. If this truth chills you as much as it should, like, share, and subscribe to support the channel and dive deeper into the shadows with us. Beneath the opulent thrones of Europe's ancient monarchies and the manicured facades of modern aristocracy lies a truth so monstrous, so occulted by centuries of deception, that its full exposure rattles the pillars of history itself. A chilling lineage, not simply rooted in conquest, but entwined with rituals of blood, control, and infernal inheritance. These are not just dynasties of wealth or land, but what many researchers of the forbidden claim to be the carriers of ancient pacts made in blood, forged through blasphemous rites beneath moonless skies, binding their names, their heirs, and their blood to entities that dwell in shadow, malevolent intelligences, fallen angels, and pre-Adamic spirits, known throughout time by many names: Nephilim, Watchers, Rephaim, and in the whispered scriptures of the heretical, the sons of the Black Flame. The so-called 13 demonic bloodlines are not mere metaphors or speculative fiction, but are said to be real families whose genealogical records, when deeply analyzed and compared with ancient occult systems, Babylonian priest kings, Egyptian sorcerer pharaohs, and medieval alchemical dynasties, reveal an unbroken chain of esoteric control stretching back to the dawn of civilization, and possibly far earlier. This secret elite, preserved not just by breeding but by ritual purification, satanic initiation, and energetic possession, include names like the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the Merovingians, the Collins family, and even royal houses such as Windsor. The lineages that have allegedly traded their human birthright for something darker, allowing them not only to dominate global finance and war, but to serve as earthly vessels for archonic intelligences that feed on suffering and psychic trauma. Some say these bloodlines descend directly from the hybrid offspring of fallen angels and human women described in Genesis 6:4, beings of staggering occult power and malevolent spiritual gravity, whose DNA carried the cursed spark of rebellion against heaven. Through eons of manipulation and infiltration, these families entrenched themselves into every power structure, behind kings and emperors, popes and presidents, banking institutions and intelligence agencies, forming secret orders like the Black Nobility, the Committee of, and even deeper cabals whose names have been scrubbed from public record, leaving only sigils in obscure grimoires or encoded in architecture across Europe. Their power does not merely lie in wealth, but in the metaphysical sciences they have concealed: blood alchemy, necromantic rites, Luciferian theurgy, trauma-based mind control, and the generational possession of chosen heirs through demonic walk-ins and ancestral binding spells performed at crucial astrological junctures. These rituals are not theatrical but deadly serious, performed in ancient catacombs, woodland groves, or heavily guarded mansions, invoking not the horned cartoon devil of popular fiction, but ancient, pre-human forces, behemoths intelligences like Moloch, Baal, and Mammon, whose hunger for obedience, sacrifice, and blood remains unquenched. From child trafficking rings cloaked in charity to global crises engineered for psychic harvesting, These bloodlines are said to perpetuate a millennia-old control grid through frequency manipulation, spellcraft hidden in media and language, and the cyclical offering of war and genocide. Researchers like Fritz Springmeier and William Cooper have risked everything to name these families, tracing their intermarriage patterns, tracing their migration from ancient Canaan, Sumer and Pharaonic Egypt into Rome, then Europe, and finally into America's hidden aristocracy. They wield the same grimoires once consulted by sorcerer priests of Babylon, now translated into corporate strategies, occult finance, and predictive programming embedded in mass entertainment. Their aim is not mere power, but to bring about a new eon, an inverted kingdom, where Lucifer reigns not from beneath, but above, as the enlightened one, the architect of a false utopia built on surveillance, technocratic control, transhuman possession, and the synthetic transformation of human DNA to more perfectly host non-human consciousness. These bloodlines often operate through layered institutions, secret societies like Skull and Bones, the Bohemian Grove, Ordo Templi Orientis, and the Pilgrim Society, using their initiates as pawns while preserving the core bloodline through absolute secrecy and arranged unions, often veiled behind philanthropy, politics, or entertainment empires. But beneath this carefully maintained illusion of civility are deeply entrenched satanic philosophies, where inversion is godliness, and where suffering is a currency of power. The rituals they perform, many say, are the same ones whispered by the priesthood of Atlantis before their hubris drowned them, the same rites invoked by Nimrod to build Babel, and the same blood pacts forged by Roman emperors under Mithraic temple, where the blood of children was seen as the key to immortality and transdimensional vision. These elite do not fear exposure because their network extends into all major intelligence agencies, corporate media, and legal systems. Whistleblowers are discredited or silenced. Symbols of their dominion, from the all-seeing eye to the black cube, are everywhere, hidden in plain sight, their meaning lost to the masses, but vibrationally active nonetheless. Their offspring are raised in trauma-based cults, subjected to monarch programming, split into altars to be used as assassins, sex slaves, or handlers, with the spiritual purpose of offering up fractured psyches to the demonic hierarchies that consume such fragments as offerings. Royal blood is not a myth, it is a metaphysical signature, a frequency passed down that these entities can anchor into, use, and manifest through. Some even claim that these bloodlines have interdimensional access, that their rituals allow communication and even alliance with beings not of our world, shadow entities that whisper tactics and visions to their earthly proxies, all in service of constructing a global order in their image. They work not for individual power, but to fulfill what occultists call the Great Work, the complete alchemical transformation of Earth into a temple for the adversary, a synthetic Eden ruled by the Luciferian elite, guarded by artificial intelligence, monitored by black mirrors, and fed by endless waves of human despair. From ancient Draco-reptilian myths to the Gnostic archons, from the Anunnaki genetic engineers to the Faustian blood compacts signed in castle dungeons, the 13 bloodlines appear again and again, each time wearing different masks, hiding behind different ideologies: religion, capitalism, progressivism, environmentalism, but always guiding the herd toward a predestined slaughter, their claws hidden beneath velvet gloves, their true names whispered only during solstice ceremonies under pentagram skies. They do not age as we do, for time bends around them through ritual and technology. They are ageless not biologically but spiritually, as they reincarnate or channel their own dead ancestors through binding spells and sigillized blood artifacts stored in Vatican vaults or private chambers deep beneath Masonic temples. Their genealogies are more closely guarded than any national secret, and their internal rankings are based not on wealth or fame but on blood purity, ritual success, and proximity to the original source of the Luciferian flame, what they call the true light, which inverts all known morality and teaches that to dominate is divine and to defy the divine is sacred. These families do not simply control the world. They sculpt it in the image of their occult philosophies, constructing false flags, manipulating markets, summoning wars, engineering pandemics, and rewriting history so thoroughly that the average citizen lulled into apathy by poisoned air, GMO food, endocrine disruptors, and electromagnetic mind fog cannot even begin to perceive the prison they are in. As we descend further into the abyss of forbidden history, the unsettling connections between ancient monarchs and entities not of this world become clearer, yet more horrifying. What has been hidden beneath the gilded surface of nobility is a legacy steeped in ritual and blood. Not metaphorically but literally, as generations of select families engaged in esoteric rites designed not just to maintain worldly power, but to sustain a spiritual tether to infernal dimensions. It begins in antiquity with the early priest kings of Sumer and Babylon, through blood sacrifice and necromantic communion, claimed their right to rule not from the people nor even from God, but from demonic patrons whose influence seeped into the foundations of empires. From these arcane roots sprouted the serpentine bloodlines, not just metaphorically, but with physiological markers, elongated skulls, rare blood types, and heightened psychic sensitivity, suggesting that something otherworldly coursed through their veins. As Babylon fell and the torch of power passed to Egypt, we see the pharaohs cloaking themselves in divine lineage, with initiations into mystery schools that concealed worship of chthonic gods beneath the veil of solar theology. And within these tombs and temples are found inscriptions invoking beings like Set, Apophis, and Sobek, not merely as metaphors of chaos, but as active spiritual entities bound through ceremonial magic to royal offspring. This tradition carried through the Hyksos dynasties and into the Hellenistic rule of the Ptolemies, who amalgamated Egyptian and Greco-occult practices, performing blood rituals in secret catacombs beneath Alexandria to preserve the divine blood. Moving into the Roman Empire, emperors engaged in Mithraic mysteries which demanded blood oaths and symbolic resurrection, claiming solar invincibility, but veiling deeper Luciferian doctrines inherited through subterranean cults. Constantine's conversion to Christianity masked the syncretic transformation of Roman imperial occultism into the Holy Roman Empire, which institutionalized demonic bloodlines by merging divine right monarchy with ecclesiastical endorsement, creating a web of royal intermarriage designed to maintain the purity of infernal descent. Charlemagne, the so-called father of Europe, was believed by certain grimoires to have been anointed by fallen entities masquerading as angels of light, granting him visionary prowess and ruthless power. The Merovingians, another crucial bloodline, was said to descend from a union between a Frankish queen and a sea beast, interpreted by some occultists as a manifestation of Leviathan, while their sacred kingship rituals involved bloodletting and astral possession. These bloodlines never disappeared but simply evolved, spreading through the Capetians, Plantagenets and Habsburgs, their lineage sustained by arranged marriages and obscure eugenic principles, guided by secret societies like the Priory of Sion, who believed that demonic blood was a divine inheritance requiring preservation at all costs. Even today, the idea of blue blood has roots in ancient beliefs about reptilian or non-human ancestry, with subtle cues like hemophilia and Rh-negative blood cited by esoteric researchers as evidence of non-terrestrial origins. Behind the pageantry of coronation, esoteric rites continue the anointing of monarchs with chrism mirrors, ancient sacrificial rites, while certain regalia, like the orb and scepter, have hidden occult meanings linked to Babylonian star worship and alchemical domination over matter. The modern institutions of monarchy, whether British, Dutch or Scandinavian, are cloaked in democratic civility, but their symbols remain steeped in black alchemy. The fleur-de-lis, black cube, hat, serpent, dragon heraldry, all of which trace back to rituals meant to bind the ruling class with infernal patrons. And these families are not just powerful, they are connected, operating as spiritual dynasty, not only preserving wealth but guarding esoteric knowledge and ensuring the survival of a bloodline bound not to mankind but to entities existing just beyond our visible spectrum. The Rothschilds, Winds and Rockefellers are often cited in fringe literature as modern torchbearers of these bloodlines, their blood rituals sanitized as philanthropic banquets and their symbols embedded in logos, architecture and currencies to maintain occult continuity. Even when royals renounce thrones or abdicate, their esoteric roles remain intact, for once initiated, their lineage continues the spiritual contract signed generations ago. A pact that ties their soul's essence to something ancient, powerful, and deeply inhuman. It is this understanding that forms the heart of elite secrecy, why they guard genealogies, engage in symbolic theater, and build institutions designed to veil the spiritual truth of rulership, that their authority is derived not through the consent of the governed, but through covenant with forces our ancestors feared, worshipped, and sought to appease with offerings of blood and fire. And now, in the modern world, these bloodlines no longer hide in castles. They operate global finance, influence politics, and shape culture through media empires, while continuing to perform rituals under the guise of exclusive ceremonies, Masonic rites, and dark theater hidden in plain sight. Those who have dared to expose this bloodline conspiracy often meet untimely ends, are discredited as lunatics, or vanish entirely. For the power that protects these lineages is not merely political, it is spiritual warfare at the highest level, with ancient entities ensuring their progeny remain at the helm of human civilization until the end of this age. The deeper we dig, the more we realize that history as taught in schools is a curated illusion, a sanitized fable, hiding the darkest pact humanity has ever made. And only by unveiling the demonic origins of these 13 families can we begin to understand who truly rules the world and why.